Hello, my name is John Blythe, and here is my quick little podcast on my neighborhood. Start off, I'll actually be quite honest. It's a rather boring neighborhood. I'll start with the houses, I guess. Uh, Pretty cookie cutter houses line the street. Each one of the houses have two stories, an okay-sized front yard, and a decent-sized backyard. Each house has someone that really likes to take care of both the front and the backyards, which is pretty common. Each one has a different idea of yard maintenance, but they all have a pretty strong idea of making sure the yard or yards look very nice. It feels like pretty much every day from spring to fall, you can always find someone outside taking care of their yard. Um, Outside of these few moments, though, the neighborhood's actually pretty quiet. And of course, you do hear dogs barking and cars passing, but it's never really loud or active in this neighborhood, which is very nice. But going back to the houses, aside from the yards, the color of the houses are pretty different across this neighborhood. You got the classic white dotted around. Brown isn't common, but still holds its own. Blue and its many variations are pretty common. Yellow's actually pretty popular as well. And so is beige. Any colors outside of those are actually some that you don't really see. No red, surprisingly. You would think that with all of the yard space that we'd actually have a green area, but we've got more. Near gravel road, which is I'm unsure as to why we have one nearby. Sits a church with a large open green space behind it. Firstly, it's a really big open space. You might even be able to fit a field of some sorts back there and still have room left over. And secondly, talking about that church, it's a pretty normal church. It has a weird contemporary look to it. Fancy large windows in the tower and rather small design makes it stick out in this open space. Uh, the only real thing that this neighborhood is majorly lacking in is trees, really. Outside of the few in the people's yards and the couple in the sidewalk yard, there aren't that many trees around. Now I do want to talk about the changes that have happened in the past few days during this study. To take a real big stab at it, nothing much has changed. In depth, we can see that people moved a few things around in the yard or spruced up their house just a little bit. The common stuff you'd see, yard work or a new house painted maybe. But outside of that, nothing really drastic has occurred. This place is pretty quiet, but I will go into depth with what I did see over these few days. To begin, each day I saw someone outside doing the last of the yard work they could before it started getting cold. They might go out a few more times this year, but it was to make any big changes. The most common one I saw was mowing the yard, of course. If I had counted how many lawnmowers I heard or saw, it'd be well over the 30s. Each time I saw someone out there mowing the lawn, I also saw another person taking care of things like doing flower beds or spraying something down. Small things, really. I guess one of the biggest changes I saw in these few days were two cases specifically. One family was able to find a nice house to settle down in. Two big U-Hauls show up, and the family started to carry items into the newly bought house. The big thing was someone doing some housework. They'd actually just gotten finished up making the roof look better just a few weeks ago, adding a new roofing and making sure it was rain tight. But on the past, however, in the past few days they've gone around adding a fresh coat of paint to the house. They didn't change the color or anything. They just added a new layer. Livened up the house quite a bit, but they also did put the house up for sale. Other than that, it's just as I said. Not only is this neighborhood pretty quiet, but nothing much changes around here. A lot of people are happy with where they've landed, and they're fine with doing small things to make the whole place look nicer. I will say it may be pretty boring, but you'll always find someone in here that is willing to just take a few hours out of the day to find a bit of yard work or something small around the house to do. It may be quite boring and very quiet, but it's a very wonderful place to live.